here. We're in the Vanquish shop. So I'm going to use these little sessions as some Q&A, just some informational things like that. Grabbed one of the Falcon RTRs here. Hopefully audio is a little bit better today. We did do a little bit more work on that end, but you will, of course, see some other changes as this goes. It won't always look like school picture day, but it's going to get us started, and we'll keep rolling with these accordingly. So, yeah, good. Hello, everybody checking in. Looks like we also got some Europe now. This time a little bit more, a little easier for multiple parts. Some of you are probably still at work, which, however that goes for you, it's hard to say. But I've got the Falcon RTR here. One thing we didn't talk about last week is with the RTRs, the radio that we include with these. So these are a 4-channel digital radio. So they've got a little display on them there. 4 channels, works with the RTRs currently because they can add the dig and selectable overdrive servos to them, but we wanted to make sure you could do it without having to change radios. And this gives you the ability to have digitally adjustable endpoints to make things a little bit easier on you there. It's also a pretty interesting little radio. Comes apart in a fun way. The handle actually pops off the bottom, and then the batteries are in the lower portion there. It does make it a little bit easier for travel, if that is something that ever comes up for you. But a radio that's been pretty reliable for the RTRs themselves. So if you guys have used that, it might be something you've noticed. One thing that we have seen people run into before is that currently with some of them, if you do put in the extra servos, or if you did any of the tuning to your stock truck out of the box, such as turning the endpoints up on the steering, that's something that recommend that you can do on any of them if you want to get the most out of it. Out of the box, the endpoints are turned down on the steering a decent amount to keep everything, pretty safe and conservative. But you can go into the channel menu, select channel 1 for steering, and adjust those numbers higher, and you'll get a lot more steering. But out of the box with some of these, if you just hit the plus or minus when you're on the main screen, it'll actually change your model memory. And that is something that'll be updated here before too long, so that you'll actually have to go into the menu to change the model to avoid that happening without your knowledge. So if your settings seem off, probably one of those things where your model memory got changed. But little things like that are things that we'll see updated in the future as things go. Again, everyone, thanks for checking in. Do you need my address to ship the Falcon Edition? Brett, I'm surprised you don't already. You need 2 of them, most likely. I think that they do look so good. It's a fun livery, and the Phoenix itself with the multi-piece body really lent itself well with the fully blue bed sides and then flowing into the cab. Being able to pull it all off with the matching color and all that worked out really well. The Falcon livery, the graphics portion of it here are part of a decal set that goes with the, then it has the sponsored decals on top of that. But the bed sides are painted, so it's got 2 different things, but they all flow and match really well, which helped this thing sell the look pretty well. And having the interior in there makes everything kind of a nice consistent dark, especially on the inside of the cab. The regular straight axle RTR doesn't come with the interior, but it is available separately, and then you can paint it yourself. So if that's something you'd like to do to dress up, also the regular straight axle RTR doesn't come with the bed sides, which make a big difference depending on the style you're after. The VRD1 cage on the back is also available separately. If you'd like to add it to, if you want to use it in a custom application or anything like that. On the RTR, is there any way to fix jerky reverse? So the ESC that comes in the RTR is a 1060 ESC, and it isn't tunable. But in the radio itself, you can add some expo, both to forward and reverse, and that will help smooth things out. That is something with that ESC. It's a robust ESC that it doesn't have many failures, but it also doesn't have, the smoothest startup, which is absolutely something that's a bit of a compromise as far as factory or RTR level ESCs go. So if you go into the radio and you go into you hit select until you get to the EXP, and then you'll hit the plus until it goes to, you hit channel until it's on the forward or the brake, and you can adjust that to give it expo to help smooth things out, and that does help considerably. So my radio loses signal randomly. Can I turn it off and then on? It's good. Rebind or common issue. Not something that I've seen as a common issue. You know, as long as your voltage is good on the radio itself, it's not something I would assume. And as long as the actual thing isn't turning off itself, it wouldn't be something that I would see or think that would be a common issue. That's something that if maybe your receiver is being blocked, if it's in a standard RTR, maybe it's something that we can help with. You know, you can always message customer service with certain things like that. Not something that we've seen be a common issue or something that you should expect. So might be worth digging in and seeing if there's something further that we can take a look at. On the upgrade path, being that these RTRs do come with a 35-turn brushed motor, the motor has the ability to be very smooth. The 1060 ESC, like again, it's a RTR level, solid, robust ESC. But again, if you want a little bit of extra tuning, Hobbywing does have options that, you know, you're basically just going to drop right in its place. The 1080 ESC would be the next step up from the 1060, and that'd give you the ability to add, you know, some tunability, especially being able to use like this little Hobbywing program card, and you can go in there and adjust punch and drag brake levels. A number, I think there's 9 different functions on the standard 1080 that you can go through and do adjustments on, which is a nice ability and something that you know, can be helpful. From there, also you have like the Fusion SE or the Fusion Pro. I do have one of the Fusion Pros right here, and these are an all-in-one, so it'll replace both the motor and the ESC, and these are exceptionally smooth. So the Fusion Pro will drop right into the VFD. We get a lot of questions on the Fusion. The standard Fusion, so they have the Fusion SE, the regular Fusion, and then the Fusion Pro. The SE and the Fusion Pro will drop right in. I've had great luck with those. Nice and smooth, super quiet, reliable, and replaces both units. The standard Fusion, you may have to do a little bit of trimming on the upper link mount on the passenger side. That's something you can do with just like a simple X-Acto blade. You could use a Dremel if there's a desire to get in there with something a little bit more powerful, but I'd try and have everything out of the way, you know, wires or anything like that. So thanks everybody again for checking in. My truck build needs a radio. Where can I get that radio? We currently don't have that radio system available separately on the website, but they can be found online right now. We're not a manufacturer of radio equipment, so you can source those radios. That sound is great today. Did a little bit of tuning there. Is something we talked about. We are going to reconfigure this further to get it into going to utilize a lot more of the space that I have available in here, turn it into much more of the studio-like appearance that you may or may not be familiar with, but we'll keep working on it. Again, it's been something that we're excited to keep doing and try and get you as much info out there. Where's Dan Wilson? You know, we're gonna have to make him stay a little bit later. He comes in very early to start shipping. Dan's the one who does most of the shipping here. He comes in super early and then leaves more than a couple hours ago. So I'll have to make him stay later if we can calm him down enough. But I come in a little bit later, so I'm available. One of these days I will drag the others on though. You guys said it was a limited run. Once available is gone. Is there gone? Is that it for the Falcon edition? That is correct. This is a limited edition of this RTR. That is all you'll see of this one. So once these are gone, the Falcon edition, as you see it, will sunset, as they say. I use the Spectrum 2-in-1 in my Falcon, and it drops right in as well. Yeah, the Falcon, or the Spectrum version of the 2-in-1, I believe is much more similar to the Hobbywing Fusion Pro. I believe that the Spectrum unit is made by Hobbywing with a little bit of difference in a couple of areas, but for the most part, I think the form factor is going to be the same. So yeah, a direct drop in. I think you can get them both in that 2300 kV, which is a nice fit for these. That would be the KV I would suggest. A little later, yeah. I think Dan's got a solid half day in by the time I get into work. But quit ignoring me, Josh. Dan Davidson, we all have to work. We have to work to ignore Dan. It doesn't come easy. I had to trim with my Fusion Pro. I would have to double check, but I didn't think that I had to trim that upper link mount, but it could just be something that I do at this point and don't even recall. But the background is nearly coordinated with the Falcon bot. It's close. The blue and we almost got both shades in there. We'll work on it. I have to get someone to paint though. I don't do much painting. So we got to choose a color for the background walls. I'm not sure if I just go with the dark blue that I typically like. Definitely going to need lights. So is the SBG edition next? Red, white, and blue would be pretty appropriate for the next version. We'll see. Beyond that, with the RTRs, of course, the things that you're used to seeing. I'm glad I haven't replaced any of the body clips or pins from the last live I did. They're all still sitting here in a nice little pile. So body comes off nice and easily there. But if you have never looked underneath of one of these, I would be surprised. But in case you haven't, of course, the 4-channel radio that we talked about, the dig servo goes in the back here. The lever arms for the shifting are already installed in the transmission. They're just hanging out. If you do plan to install those, you just remove a little set screw and hook up the servos, go through the endpoint setting. And that's something that we'll do an edited video on for a concise instruction set. There's a number of things that we'll do videos like that on for this type of stuff. Going through if there's instructional topics like that you want in a concise manner without having to watch a live video for all that information, then we'll be happy to do that. We just have to make sure that we try and cover as many topics as possible. Limited time. Falcons of Freedom. The Trucks of Freedom promotion this summer was a great time. And just before it got so hot, so it had to end when it ended, but it's a fun promotion for the holiday season. May I ask what makes it Falcon Edition exactly? Falcon Edition is what is being referred to is the body livery. The Falcon Tires livery is an infamous livery, and that is this blue and teal with the scallops design. That is not of our own design. This is something that Falcon has licensed to many people over the years. You've seen it in other RC cars and Hot Wheels and full-size drift cars and race cars and trophy trucks. It's been used in tons and tons of different things. We went through the process working with Falcon. Obviously, it comes with the Falcon Wild Peak tires, as that would have to be necessary to do so. But it's the style of the livery that you see. That's what specifically makes it the Falcon Edition. And of course, it differs from the straight axle version of the Phoenix RTR with the combination of parts that are used, including the bed sides, the interior, inside, having portals on this one versus straight axles on the other RTR. So some of the differences are there. When is Horizons getting Falcons? I pre-ordered. I believe that those are going soon. From what I believe, that that information was worked out during this week. So I believe that those will likely be available soon. And if you pre-ordered through Horizon, then you should be receiving them before too long. Horizon currently has been having some struggles with new system integration. So orders through Horizon, if they're delayed or there's issue, that's something that Horizon is going to have maybe a little bit of growing pains with, but hopefully they can get you taken care of. Any exact dates from Horizon receiving to getting them shipped back out, that would be something you'll have to of course work out with them. How hot is it up there? I hit 127 today in the roaster. Not too bad here. Not today, at least not in my air-conditioned office. So, what do I have to do to get those pink tool? This is actually these are the tools that sit on our workbench in the shop so that they don't go missing or walk off into a different area and not know where they came from. This is not something that we specifically ever have intended on selling. It is literally just so that we can say, hey, that doesn't belong there, put it back. But the tools themselves, normally black handle with the anodized colored end on it, super comfortable to work with. So they are nice. They are sitting here on top of something new. You'll see more information on some new release tomorrow. So hang around for that. Not today, but hang around till tomorrow. Not exactly on this live video, but you'll see new information come out tomorrow. We'll get into this here in a moment, but fun stuff. Also, we're 15 minutes into this live stream now. The first 30 minutes of the live stream are on Facebook and YouTube. The full hour-long live stream is on YouTube. So if you're on the Facebook side and you want to see the full hour-long side, you can jump over to the YouTube channel, Vanquish Products YouTube. You'll find it over there. Something that we, of course, will continue to put more and more content on, as well as tomorrow. You'll see new content on there tomorrow. That would be great breast cancer awareness edition. The only problem with the plink or pink tools, however you want to call these, we usually call this color plink, is that the color of the end caps, they clash quite a bit with the pink handle. So the red is not the worst. Some of the other colors do not look good. I feel like the black and clear anodized on the handles look much better. So hopefully it would be cool to watch clips of parts getting machined. Things like that are things that we do, of course, hope we can incorporate more of, maybe with other projects or special projects down the road. We do have that ability to dedicate some more time to it, and something that we do hope to do. It's all about time, and the more and more successful that video content is, of course, the more and more time we can dedicate to it. That's pink. It looks fairly pink in this video. In person, it can kind of border on that pink and purple. That's why the plink color was coined. Tomorrow, like, wouldn't this be a perfect way to announce a new product? Of course, it would be our hope that we could use this to announce a new product, and it would have been the plan, but just with scheduling and everything, tomorrow seems to be the best time to announce. So you'll see, exciting. As always, things are exciting tomorrow. Will be exciting tomorrow. Still, shop tour. Yes, I have to clean up my piles of stuff. Others have to do the same. We'll just blame it on me to start with, at least. What are good foams for the Falcon tires? I've ran a number of different foam combinations on here. Currently available foams that you can run. I've run Carl Innovations 475 Lil Novas with the outer tuning ring taken off. That's worked well for me. I think I've also tried the 4.5s, but I prefer the 475 with that outer ring off the most. It does take a little bit of the square profile off the tire, which I do like the square profile of it a little bit more, but those still work pretty well, and you can get those in a lot of places. No, I show my shop is do the same. Ooh. It's showing the shop. It's just difficult to make a decision. Well, we'll get there. And you know what? The cable on this camera isn't quite long enough anyway, so I've got to try something different. The VXT3. No, this tire here is the same tire as you see here. This is the Wild Peak MT 475. So that is not what you're seeing that's new. So I'm doing a TBI awareness, green and gold, BS410 Lakewood wagon, including Aunt Edna on the roof rack. The family truckster style. I like it. TBI, traumatic brain injury awareness, if I'm correct. I don't know. Where Ken, we don't have that position available anymore. There's not a position that exists. When are 2.2 VXT2 tires coming? Even we discussed this a little bit before. Of course, we will try and talk about things that we do have available to talk about. When new products are announced, we'll do it in a very, scheduled way. So not always will you see things before an official announcement. If you do, it's because they are coming out nearly tomorrow or tomorrow. But at this point, even if it was coming out this week, I couldn't tell you beforehand. So we'll talk a little bit about it because we only have a few minutes left on the Facebook feed before we jump over to the YouTube only side. But what we have here is, while it may not seem like the most exciting new thing, this is currently a new plastic beadlock set. Now, the difference between this beadlock set here and the beadlock set that you see on these is that it doesn't have a front external ring, and it actually doesn't have a rear external ring either. But on the back side of it, it's got 8 M3 coarse thread screws that allow you to mount both the front and rear of the wheel at the same time. Very similar to how you have seen with the other, Vanquish machined wheels. And while I'm not giving you a real close look at it intentionally, you'll understand more and more as the actual release time goes. But to be able to mount and unmount these wheels is very simple. This is a wheel set that will be something that comes on, can replace this wheel here. If you've ever assembled those, they are a little bit more difficult to get through just time-wise. You've got 6 screws on each front rear ring that have some pretty long threads, plus the hubs. These don't have hubs, but the hub itself is integrated in. It's got a fixed hex, but you can get the face off of there, and the rear ring comes off as well. But with that style, it also uses a clamp ring. And this clamp ring is the exact same clamp ring that's used on the Vanquish wheels. So if you have this, or if you got this on something, these wheels, then you'd be able to add our regular brass weighted rings to these without having to do anything else. So a little bit of a convenience factor for anyone who's, wants to do things. It also allows you to do some simple modification without having to change parts out, but makes things very easy. So again, while that itself may not seem, it is a plastic wheel. It's not a new aluminum wheel, but again, you'll see up close on them very soon. What's the offset of those wheels? It's very similar to the factory offset of these, a little bit tighter, I believe. I'd have to get the exact info on that in comparison. It's a great question, one that I absolutely should have had an answer for just off the top of my head. I'm surprised that I didn't. So but now of course remounting this, I didn't check that the bead was set on the front, which probably would have been a smart idea. Let's see how that goes. It's tightening down in a standard star pen. The coarse thread M3 does make it super easy. We got it all mounted up nice and proper. They do mount very easily, just like the regular Vanquish aluminum wheels. But since you don't have the external beadlock ring front and rear, everything assembling a set of these is no time. So will incision wheels ever go SLW? No, not likely. That was a decision made at the time based on some machining constraints, and just because of the way that those were set up and consistency wise, that will likely just stay the way they are at this point. So with a non-removable hub, those wheels won't fit with the brass portal covers. The stock wheels needed the wider hubs. Well, these also have a lot more clearance on the back side. Since it doesn't have that external beadlock ring on that side with those screws, you do have I don't have an 8mm wrench handy in here right now, but these actually will fit with the portals. And if you're using portal covers, you could use the low offset portal covers for these to still clear. I know that they do clear those without any issue. As far as the full weight brass portal covers, probably not going to clear those. So that's the, is that a tank? It is not a tank. It is a wheel face design that you have not seen yet. So I have not seen yet from us. It is a licensed wheel face. Vanquish is like crack. You can hide it from your wife. It takes all your money away. Yeah, we can't stop, won't stop. You know, out of all of the addictions to have, RC, it's the hardest to kick. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Riot wheel? Could be a riot wheel. It sounds familiar. Switch to YouTube. So let's see. We still got a few minutes left here on the Facebook side. If you have any questions on in Facebook, you can put those in there now. I'll try and get that before we switch over to just YouTube. Of course, you can make that switch as well if you want to watch the rest of the stream. Will we see more Falcon graphic trucks? It's a possibility. Never know in the future. You know, with the reception of this one, things seem to go well. Hopefully, all goes well with how it goes on the ends of everything else, and we continue to look at more like it. So it's definitely one that I think looks outstanding. When will there be a lightweight VFD twin transfer case gear set? John Mastery, that is already available, actually. Do I have the... I believe that I can give you a link for that right now. Let me see if I have that ability. Maybe, maybe not. No, I do not. Those are available now. You can pick up those gears. They cut out a significant amount of weight. They're still very strong. The front output shaft is machined into the front output gear. The twin or the VFD? For the standard VFD. The standard VFD got a lightweight front gear set and a lightweight transfer case gear set. It's a 21% gear set as well. So make sure you look at that. Comes with the bearing plates to do the 21% gear swap. So you get the lightened and 21% all in one package. And that should be available now. Hey, Josh, looking to build a Rancho with a VS410. Anything I should look out for or do so? The biggest things you're going to have to do there is just make sure that you work out your link configuration, depending on whether you plan to go 4-link or 3-link with panhard mount, and how you plan to work that out. Little custom builds like that, of course, can have their own struggles. If you do plan to go 4-link servo and axle, you may have to do some clearancing of the braces, but you know, if you try and leave as much of that up there as possible, you'll keep the most strength out of that VS410 chassis as possible. Let's see. Any plans for another builder's kit release that you're able to mention? Nothing currently for that right now. Can't wait to the day you'll sell the purple and green wheels to regular market to kill over price. Currently, no plans to add the purple or the shades of green to the website for regular sales. Those are just kind of promotions. Those colors can both have their own tricks as far as keeping color consistency through batches. So not something that you'll likely see as a production wheel. Those are likely only going to be ever in the promotion stuff, so that they're just kind of, they go out there, they're on their own. That's how it is. And that's the extent that you'll see them. So but we're at 3:30. So again, Facebook side, thanks for joining us. If you want to see the rest of it, you can jump over to the YouTube channel, Vanquish Products YouTube. And thanks for joining us on Facebook, of course. And we got another 30 minutes going on YouTube. All right. So white 2.2s, please. So currently all of our wheels are anodized, with anodizing, you can't do white as per se. We do clear anodizing, which is, the silver color. The color of the aluminum is showing through, but it's got the protective anodizing on there. White would have to be either like a powder coat or a Cerakote. And those are things that, as far as a production wheel, not likely to go on there, is they cause their own issues. So, the clear is likely, or you can have, you can paint, powder coat, or Cerakote yourself after the fact, but it's likely as close as you're going to get to white. So wish you would sell the clear bedsides as well. I do believe that is a thing here in the near future. On their own, currently, we sell the Phoenix body set, comes complete, even with the cage, or now you can get clear cabs. Of course, the clear bedsides hadn't been on there yet, but the painted bedsides were available. Clear bedsides will also be a thing. Yeah, hit the like button if you're watching these. It gives us a reason to keep letting me do them during regular work hours. Do the questions asked in the Facebook feed follow to the YouTube feed? I don't believe so. I've got all of the comments aggregated into one feed here on my screen, so that's how I'm seeing both at the same time. But I don't think that you'll see that in the live chat on your end, only on mine. And so, unless you're watching both, that is. So, I think a number of the features of the Phoenix there, comparing the two, we went over a little bit of that last week. Something that, of course, we could go into more depth if there's things that people have specific questions on. And of course, if there is, you can let us know that. Josh, I heard you mention coming to RC Excitement in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, one of your live streams. I was curious when that was. Are you coming for a crawler? I'm still hoping to make it to that. It's in October. I think the second weekend in October. Of course, still have a lot to get organized. It's been super busy times, and that's still a little bit up in the air. And yeah, that is for, I believe, their like summer finale of the event that they have going for that. I can't remember the name exactly, but RC Excitement's big end of the season type deal. Will Vanquish be at Proline by the Fire? We will be at Proline by the Fire. Have the booth set up. I have a bunch of stuff there showing off, things like that. Hope that the heat isn't too bad, but no matter what, that'll be a great time. Hopefully, we've got, before that event, we've got a event here in Northern California, the ASD Crawlers Autism Awareness Comp, or Crawl, Autism Awareness Crawl, which will be up here at Bear River Lake Resort, something close to that. You can find them on Facebook for event details, but we'll be set up there as well. Have a bunch of stuff to show off. So if you're in the area or you're looking to travel to it, it's a great event. Even if you want to travel to, camping's available, and the cost of entry nice and low. Something I would definitely recommend if you'd like. Terrain's great, weather's usually nice, and it's a great event, great raffle, goes to a good cause. Check that out. So that's the weekend before Proline by the Fire, which I believe is September. I don't have it on that calendar. I'll check my other calendar. Let's see. Unless someone beats me to it. That is September 15th and 16th, I believe. Or at least that's when I have it written down for. It's that weekend at least. Have you done anything special for your event Thursday? Just an event in May. I did a comp the next day. It wasn't a big deal. My event Thursday. I was like, I think that event's on Friday. My event Thursday. I should be back for next week's live stream. But beyond that, other than some regular shopping, I have not. Yeah, Proline by the Fire, September 22nd and 23rd, the Autism Awareness Crawl the weekend before that. And at the Autism Awareness Crawl, myself and Mr. Schultz will be having a little bit of a Crawl Masters style crawl off that we're selecting teams for at that event. So if you're looking to come, bring your most capable truck, and I will try and pick you for my team. We'll see. I'm not sure if we're doing dodgeball rules on team selection or how that's going to work yet, but I'm ready for that one. So hopefully we see some of you guys there. Should be a good time. And again, it's just around the corner, so we'll have some new stuff to show you at that one. It's been a busy summer. And it's going to be a busy fall. Looking forward to everything that we've got coming to you this year. Even though the rest of the year is going to wrap up quickly, there's going to be a lot. So should have something for everybody, no matter what end of the spectrum that you're in. But with that, if you guys have any questions specifically, RTR, VS410, aftermarket parts, other than just straight part availability, I probably won't have exactly all of those answers for you, but we'll definitely try and get questions answered if at all possible. Again, new product release stuff, things like that. These are a little bit more difficult, but there we go. Sorry, my chat scrolled all the way up. Pretty stoked to put together my first Vanquish kit tomorrow. Phoenix Portal. Phoenix Portal is a great build. The F10 axles underneath of the Phoenix Portal are a super stout axle. They steer extremely well. The ability to add overdrive to them, if you like, has got a couple of different options, either ring and pinion or the gear sets themselves. So the gear sets in them, it comes with the overdrive gear set front and rear. So it's not necessarily, it's just named the overdrive gear set. It's a 1.4-to-1 portal gear set in the front and rear. If you'd like to add more overdrive, you could, of course, put the 1.6 set in the rear, which is called the standard gear set. And that'll give you a considerable amount of overdrive. Of course, we also have an underdrive ring and pinion set, which you can add to the rear. But the Phoenix Portal kit that you got there, it's got the VFD twin. So you've got selectable overdrive right out of the box, which will give you 43% overdrive. So tons of selection between all of the things that you've got working for you there. Is there a way to support the light kit on-off when both dig and overdrive servos are installed? Oh, if you're talking about the ability for remote selection of the light kit, there isn't. If you're using the 4 channels that the radio is already capable of, beyond that, you're going to have to just go with the on selection of that light kit, unless you go up to one of the available 5-channel radios, 6, 7, 10. The other radio options that do have a lot of channel ability. But out of the box, you're either going to have to select dig or overdrive if you want to use the light kit with the factory supplied radio. Hi Josh, can you run through ordering a set of Vanquish wheels? What's needed to complete, accessories, etc.? I am looking to spec out my first set for the VS410 Portal kit. Cheers. Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got the VS410 Portal kit, that'll be the same as this RTR here. The Vanquish wheels themselves, if you're looking at the 1.9s, as that package comes, it is the front and rear wheel face and a beadlock ring that matches it. The only thing that you need in addition to that package is a set of SLW hubs. Make sure you're looking at the SLWs and not the Incision, but grab the SLW hubs, and you can run as low as a 350 hub. 350 stands for 0.350 inches, if you didn't know. The SLW hubs, all numbers are just a version of the fractional inch dimension. So 0.350, that's as narrow as you can run with the Vanquish wheel and clear everything safely. From there, the SLW hubs go up 475, 600, and those are just 0.125 inch wider each step. So that's what those numbers mean if you weren't aware. So you're going to add an 1/8 inch per side each step up you go. 350 is kind of my go-to size to start with. I like 350 hubs on most of my cars. The Phoenix Portal is slightly wider than the Phoenix straight axle version by about 9 millimeters. So the 350 still keeps things nice and reasonable. You're going to be a little bit narrower than the factory incision wheel. It's right around a 400. So the incision wheels, the hubs are measured number 2, 3, 4, 5, and up. And those are just 0.2 inches, 0.3 inches, 0.4 inches each step. So if you ever had any information or didn't know how those numbers came about, that's how that works. Do y'all sell scratch and dent axles? We don't sell many scratch and dent items at all. We do have some items that often pop up or sometimes pop up in the outlet section of the website. So if you're ever on there and you want to check out that outlet section, you'll find wheels or things like that maybe got finished in a surface finish that wasn't the proper way. So if the wheel is supposed to be gloss and it got finished matte, well, we'll put those in the outlet section because the finish is still good. It's just not the way that it should be based on the actual item. But if the plating is bad, likely or normally we won't sell them. We just don't like putting the parts out there that aren't done right. So we don't do a lot of scratch and dent, but that's exactly how we do it or when they show up in those cases. Thinking of making the drive for the ASD, depending on schedules, we may show up. Lacos, hope you and your wife both make the trip. It's a great event, great time, up in the mountains, high altitude, so the weather is usually nice. It's tree cover, and the terrain around there is a great time. Trails are long, a lot of fun at that event. It's something that I can recommend. Wheels, SLW hubs, scale hardware, scallop rings. We do sell other accessories, of course, for the Vanquish wheels. We have scale hardware, which is hardware that just looks like an actual bolt rather than the hex head style hardware that we normally include. And those, if you do decide to go with those, there's two sizes. The outer ring of our wheels use a 164 by 1/4 inch long screw. So the beadlock hardware is also 164 on the scale side. For the center hub, we've got 440 hardware. So that uses the longer 440. And those are the two things. There's a standard and a long version of the hub hardware. And that's in case you want to run things like the stainless or brass brake weights. That's why those exist. So the tools used to, one other thing, I guess, if you haven't done with a set of the wheels before, is that yes, the wheels use standard hardware. It's for a couple of reasons: size and strength of threads, something that's been a holdover for a long time, something that's not likely to change anytime soon. The 164 hardware on the rings looks a lot better than the 2mm. So again, we're going to keep going that way. If you're assembling them, though, you shouldn't be using a 1.5 mil wrench for that beadlock hardware. A lot of people do. But if you get proper standard drivers, the 1/16 driver for that beadlock hardware is going to be a much better fit, and that hardware is going to feel nice and appropriate. The center pieces of hardware 440, those use a 3/32 inch driver. So check out our standard tool sets, or you can use any standard hex driver to get those assembled. Do you have a favorite that you own, or maybe that you've built someone else to give away, or a good cause, or something you built that you enjoyed more than most? I build a lot of cars, and I've driven a lot of cars. My favorite has always been the VS410 Pro, one that I've just really enjoyed driving. I have probably the most miles on out of any of them. My VS410 Pro, it's got a modification that I've got a portal axle in the rear and a standard straight axle in the front. It's kind of like a mix between a Pro and an Ultra. There's some modification that goes along with that, but that car beyond that is pretty much stock. I do have the optional VFD dig in there, but the axles, the chassis, things like that, pretty much stock. And I just have driven that thing. The transmission in it's super bulletproof, super well built, and that truck's just been a rock star. So that's always been the one that I've been like, this is my favorite. So, beyond that, of course, custom builds, those probably hold a little bit different area, special to me. One of my favorites right now, though, is built on top of VS410 Pro. That's my Woods Runner. And that's a VS410 Pro with the VS410 Pro body, but it's been narrowed a bit. It's got a custom cage. I really enjoy that as well. Even though that one's not done, I just like looking at it the best or the most. Can't wait till the next Wheels of Fortune. I wanted Nicole to pick my Wheels of Fortune was a blast the first time we did that. Whether or not that specific promotion will come back is hard to say. That was super busy, and it took a lot to do it. Maybe hard for that to come back in the way that it was before, but it's you know, it was, I think we all enjoyed that at the time, and then us here, we were glad that it also ended at that point. With all the knockoffs out there, would VP consider putting an identification mark on the wheels? I think the wheels are so easy to tell the authentic Vanquish ones from the fakes. I can usually pick them out from a thumbnail photo. The size of the hardware is usually the easiest thing to identify that they're, you know, a knockoff, and can quickly be identified that way. Beyond that, I think they usually are pretty clear to be able to see the differences. Time to switch over to millimeter like the rest. Basically everything else we do is in metric. My preferred unit of measure is metric as well. But for the wheel hardware, I agree that it is a better looking hardware. It functions really well. The 440 size for the hubs has a deeper thread, and the head size of the hardware is also better. So for that reason, especially for something so aesthetic, the standard hardware on the wheels is a better system. I can, of course it's an opinion and something that we do regularly, but even comparing, or it's been something, of course, we've discussed the change, but at this point, for a number of reasons, it will continue to be the way that it is. It's time to make F10s with switchable ring gears to do straight and portals. So I think a couple of weeks ago, I did a swap on mine. The F10s, like these here, are the nice thing about these compared to like the ones that I did a swap with before is that the third member itself, the bolt pattern for it is symmetrical. So you can flip the third member pretty easily, but it does need some grooving done in the axle housing to do a flip. And that's a lot easier on these plastic housings. But I, of course, like the idea as well. Right now it's done so that people don't put them in backwards on accident. So, it's there's some give and take there, but it's understandable. I know it's not really Vanquish related, but did you ever get the microserver mount on the family truckster looking to do something? So I believe that's on my own website for a download, but yeah, that you should be able to message me. You can find me on the internet. Does Vanquish have a store here in Roseville, or is it just a warehouse? Our location here is just manufacturing. So we don't have any sort of customer forward type area, no store or anything like that. There is three great hobby shops in Sacramento. Fast Track Hobby up in Roseville has Vanquish products, as well as RC Country down closer to the Rancho area. Those are the hobby shops in town here that you should be able to find a lot of our stuff. But no store specifically here. Being manufacturing, it's just, we have to kind of keep that separate. If you never started your YouTube channel, would you still be in Missouri? Maybe, possibly. Who knows? It's hard to say. I love Kansas City though. Still miss the Midwest all the time. So listen to my drive home. By the time I got to the door, it's almost over. We got 10 minutes left on here. Hopefully we can rapid fire through as many questions as possible to get you guys any info that you're looking for, any information on the VS410 platforms, or any of the custom parts or aftermarket parts that we make currently. And yeah, the afternoon time frame is something that, of course, can, some people are working, especially out here on the West Coast. That's why it is during this time, is because I am at work. So that's when we have to do these things. But there's a lot of live streams available. You may have seen some of the other ones, and those happen at different times of the day. But hopefully this gives some opportunity to people that may be busy or unavailable at other times. And of course, they're available after the fact, both Facebook and YouTube. But we'll have more and more content on this channel specifically. This is supposed to be a regular Tuesday show. So you'll see these with new stuff and going over features, things like that, edited and how-to things. You'll see more and more as well. You couldn't see less of, because we didn't do a lot of that on this channel before. So more stuff for sure. Any good rock crawling in the Midwest or just concrete and stone builds? Of course, it can be difficult to find natural rock in the Midwest. Kansas City, we were always struggling to find it and not get kicked out of areas, trying not to just crawl on riprap and shotcrete dams and spillways. But I can't speak of exactly the best crawling spots anymore. It's been a little while. So which Falcon tire do you like better, RT or the MT? So the RT is the 4.19, the MT 4.65. So I find myself generally running the 4.65s more than the 4.19s. I do have the 4.19s on my Class 1 Porsche, which is did really well. It took that out to Colorado to the Team Garage Hack Rocky Mountain Regional Championship event, and it did great out there, even in some wet and kind of nasty terrain. They still hooked fantastic. So both tires have done well for me. I've competed with the 4.19s. My 4.65s I haven't necessarily competed with, because normally I run the VXT2 if I'm competing in closer to that Class 2 size. Let's see. It's nice you did a live stream on Tuesday. Really filled a hole in my daily RC live streams. Yeah, we're pretty much covering all the days now. So are the tires different on the RTR other than the website? So that is a common thing in RC, but no, these are the exact same compound in both aftermarket available parts and parts that come on the RTRs. The tires that come on there, they are the same red compound, super sticky. One thing with that, it's often something that you see that being a thing in RTRs, because the softer tires, they do have a lot of tire wrap, so you get that wrinkling, and these definitely have that. If you watch the product videos or release videos, you'll see that these tires definitely get a lot of that wrinkle, and that can be something that some customers don't like, but it's something that we made the choice to do, just to try and give the best performance that we can out of the box. With the few people that may have some issue with that, hopefully outweighs the good outweigh any of the people that would rather not. Any recommendations on good crawling spots here in Roseville area? Folsom Lake, the Granite Bay entrance. Go back to Oak Beach, Dotton's Point, Beals Point. Those are the most common places here in town, closest to Roseville. The ones that I would recommend in town, rather than going up the hill into the more beautiful Sierras. What foams do you run in your Vanquish Class 2 tires in comps? The VXT2s, I've typically ran Crawler Innovations 475. Depending on the weight of the truck is really which ones depend on what I'm running. Usually it's if comp trucks that are pretty light, I'll run soft front and rear. If I start getting a little heavier, big full scale builds, then medium front and soft rear has been something I've done in the past. It means it's hooked up. Yeah, that, and the red compound does hook up really well. But that does mean that you see the tire working. So some people just have a problem with that. But no more VP swag, beanie, sweater, long sleeve, etc. Winter is more apparel is absolutely something that we need to be working on. We don't have any of that done yet, or in the process currently. I think we've got more shirts and hats coming, but yes, you're right. We kind of forget winter is coming. Being here in Northern California, it only gets just to like nice temperatures. It can be 30 or 40 in the morning, still get pretty cold. Coming from the Midwest, that's not that bad. Beals Point has good fishing too. It's been a while since I've done any fishing. I need to get out there. But let's try and get, we have 5 minutes left. Try and get a handful more questions in before we call this one for the day. Thanks everybody for joining. What weight do you consider as the difference in tire foams? That's a good question. For me, usually, if I'm in that like 5 pound range, I'll stay with the soft. If I'm getting anywhere near 6 pounds or more, I'll definitely be in the medium range. Even if I'm in the upper 5 pound range, I'll usually go to a medium front. But how well do the stock foams hold up? Stock foams they hold up pretty well for a while. They're a nice firm foam. They'll give that support for a little bit, but they do break down over time. So replacing the foams over time is something that a lot of people are going to want to look into. Foams like this, they have a lifespan, and the more you use them, the more they will break down. These tires come sealed out of the box, so there is no venting. So they're not going to get infiltrated by water if you haven't vented normally. But if you're in an area like here where you could see elevation changes normally, or just if you like the performance better of vented tires, which many of us do, then I would recommend venting your tires to try and do that. But that will let water in. And at that point, of course, either getting the water out as soon as possible, or it will cause the foams to break down faster. Comp Stance 1-to-1 sticker. I think we've got some Comp Stance mugs coming soon. Need to check that. Vanquish hoodie. Vanquish hoodies are a must. We have a couple that we've had like company here, but available wise, we should do. Remote question: does the RTR remote drain batteries or fairly decent? It's actually pretty efficient on batteries. I've got a couple of them that I don't think I've ever changed the batteries on. The Falcon edition here doesn't come with batteries in the box, but the factory batteries that do come with the straight axle versions have lasted me a long time. I'm trying to see. Yeah, these have the original ones that I've had in here since the start, and this I think was one of my initial radios that we used for testing. So it's been around a long time. I have a Comp Stance tattoo. I have seen that actually. Comp Stance Yeti mug. Yeah, that style mug, definitely the preferred style for me as well. I have many of them, and I could use more. Could always use more. If you vent the tires on the tread, spinning them after you run will normally do a good job getting water. It does do a good job just getting the water flung out, so it's definitely worth doing. I prefer that. I don't run in a lot of water, so it's not something that I'm normally considering. And the tires just will work better when they are vented. It doesn't, fight against it with that air pressure. It just lets the foam do its job. So you can't vent much here in Wisconsin. Wet and muddy farm runoff. Farm runoff. That lends to its own issues, I'm sure. What portal rear axle do I put in my Phoenix RTR? The F10 portal rear axle would be the one if you were going to do that mod. So you can get that axle set on its own. I believe the rear axle is VPS 08601. I believe, double check that. But that'll give you a complete axle set because you'll want pretty much everything. You could piece it together, but the easiest thing to do is going to be to buy a complete axle set. And then doing that modification, you are going to need to Dremel the housing a little bit, but beyond that, you're just going to flip the third member upside down. Since you're adding 2 gears on the outside, it reverses the rotation. And by flipping that third member, you reverse it again. So everything is going in the proper directions as each other. But if you're doing that mod, it's a pretty specialized mod. Not a lot of people do that, but something I do enjoy doing myself. I like the performance of it. But it's 4 o'clock. Again, thanks everybody for joining. We will continue to do these. It should be on next Tuesday. Again, we'll have a lot to talk about. So we'll see you then. See you tomorrow morning as well. More stuff to show. So as always, appreciate you guys watching. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the Vanquish YouTube channel. See you tomorrow morning.